What is going on? Welcome back. I told you we'd be live again on Tuesday. Very, very special guest, friend of the show, been on the show a few times. James Brimacombe, Eaglezzz. How are you, man?
I'm good. How's it going, Cody?
Doing well. Man who needs no introduction. We're about to hit some best ball streets, the playoff best ball streets, in my opinion, and I think you agree. I think it's the best form of best ball. I really, really enjoy it. There's only so many things you can do, but it's also kind of endless in what you can do and how you can build lineups. What are your thoughts there? I know you love playoff best ball too.
Yeah. So I like it just because I love best ball in general, but I love the strategy part of it. So, and I feel like playoff best ball brings out even more of the strategy part of it. It's a little less player takes, a little more team takes, than just baked into like create some chaos in there too, because you just never know. Like any team can beat any team. We can look at the odds and it could, yeah, that's just the picture at the start, but things change really fast. So it's just really fun. I love when, say, you get sniped in a draft or something, you just have to go off the board. So I love that aspect of like on the fly trying to fix a team, and usually it kind of leads into into some fun builds. So yep, I'm
Well,
all aboard the playoff train.
you're a better man than me because I definitely use some 4-letter words when I get sniped. It gets pretty frustrating at times, and I'll show an example. I'll go through a couple of examples of
Mhm.
teams when a little later on of strategies that you can kind of employ. And one I just kind of said, "Fuck you guys! I'm just trying to advance because." I got too frustrated. I got sniped too many times and it just wasn't going my way. So I just said, screw this. I'm just going to try to get my money back on this team. And to be honest, sometimes that's the way you got to attack it. If just everything falls apart, and I'll go over this particular example. I don't really know what else I could have done to salvage it. I zagged, and
Mhm.
then it was just like, oh, I just got to get my money back here. But I'll show that example a little bit later. Love that I'm back. I appreciate it, Josh. Good to see you. Happy to be back. It was a long time. Figured out I wasn't able to do in-season content, but here we are back in the playoff best ball streets here. So let's dig into this. We're gonna just go through basically team by team, talk about some strategy, talk about some player takes. Are we drafting this team? How are we attacking this team? We'll get into it pretty quick and easy. And we won't spend too much time here because we definitely want to get to drafting. But obviously, we'll start at the top. We'll go AFC, then NFC. Baltimore Ravens are the 1 seed. I'm very positive you're drafting a ton of Ravens, as am I, as is probably everybody. Number 1 seeds have just over 50% chance to make the Super Bowl. You see it right there. So how are you kind of attacking the Ravens here? We could talk about your rankings a little bit later when we get to that, but how high do you have Lamar? And is that the guy that you're focusing on?
Yeah, so the nice thing about the Ravens is it's basically just Lamar. Like if you want the Ravens, you take him in the first round, and then you can add all the other pieces, no problem. Like no
Mm.
one's taking Flowers first round. Maybe sometimes they'll take them second round, but usually if you're the Lamar drafter, you can get a full on Ravens. Like if you want a three player, 4 player, or even if you want to be adventurous and go with the whole 5 player stack, you can do that with them pretty easy. The other side of the Ravens too, like if you go NFC, like Cowboys or one of those other builds like Rams or Detroit, you can also come back with the Ravens and get a lot of those pieces later in drafts to add on. So yeah, I'm all for drafting the Ravens. They're not my favorite, but I try not to have bias of who I'm drafting and who I'm not. I just kind of wait for the draft, what position I get in the room, and
Mhm.
what player kind of starts my core build. So that's kind of
That's
what I wait for.
That's something I want to touch on too. I talked about it. I did a show on Thursday and I talked about it ad nauseum, just time and time again. Said it probably 100 times throughout the episode. That is kind of the beauty of the playoff best ball format is it really doesn't matter who the players are. It all that matters is your roster construction. That's it. Your structure and how you construct your roster. To me, that's the only thing that matters. Even if you're wrong, Let's be honest here. Do you really think that it's going to be a Detroit, Miami Super Bowl? I extremely highly doubt that personally.
I mean, I probably have, 40, 50 builds with that in mind. So,
Because they're built structurally sound, right? Like
yeah,
backdoored into it, whatever, you did what you had to do. And I have one or two of those as well. I'm just saying, like, that's why it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is having a structurally sound team and making sure that you
right.
have 5 in a Super Bowl, however you've kind of told the story. So that's something I just hammer home with playoff best ball. And you see just countless mistakes for people not even having 5 guys, in a Super Bowl, drafting 6 different NFC teams, whatever, right? And it just makes no sense. So that's something I just like to hammer home with these episodes.
The only pushback on the Ravens, if you take if you're a Lamar drafter, you have to take 2 QBs. So that's the only thing about the number 1 seeds that I kind of like on Underdog. That's kind of where I push back as it gets harder. Like I'd rather almost take the Bills or the Chiefs or the Cowboys or Detroit or whoever, because I can just take their QB. I only have 10 roster spots and I can make better use out of those other 9 roster spots. But like on Drafters and DraftKings, where it's 12 man, it's a lot easier to take build out San Fran and Baltimore builds and kind of go from there. So
yeah, absolutely.
I kind of leverage the sites off each other, especially when it's the number 1 seeds and whatnot. So
yeah, that's another roster mistake you see is when someone drafts Lamar and then they draft, not Jalen Hurts, Flacco, right? 2 guys from the AFC or 2 quarterbacks from the NFC. It just doesn't make tons of sense to me. And it was a lot easier earlier in last week, literally, where you could get Josh Allen or Dak, with Purdy and Lamar, you know what I mean? Now you can't do that anymore. I saw your rankings earlier, and again, we'll get to that a little bit. You have Josh Allen as number 1, which I can't argue with. I think I was early having him. I had him as number 4 when he was going ADP early teens. He was like, 12, 13 or something like that. I had him as number 4 at that time. I'm not sure where I have him now, but you have him number 1. So over a guy like Lamar, which, ADP wise, that doesn't line up right now as it sits. But what are your thoughts on that?
The thoughts on that is just like if you go Allen, you're probably always going to get Diggs and James Cook. So you're getting like a core build. They play the Steelers. It's like a freebie game, it feels like. Probably shouldn't say that, but that's kind of how it feels. Like they're kind of lined up for a really nice run. Yeah. Like they won't get Baltimore in the 2nd round. So like it could line up against them, Baltimore in the AFC Championship. So I just feel like you're getting a bonus when you take Josh Allen. You get he can do just what Lamar does, and you're getting an extra game. So and it's easier to make builds on Underdog, in my opinion, with the 1 QB builds.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Again, like I said, it was easier earlier when you could get Josh Allen or Dak with Lamar or Purdy, but you can't do that anymore. Do you look at, we'll get to the 49ers in a bit here as well as we go down this list, but like I have a hard time for me, I have CeeDee Lamb as my number 1, and then I have Lamar ahead of the 49ers, even Christian McCaffrey, just because it's easier to build out the Ravens, like you talked about a little bit earlier there. It's easier to build out a Ravens stack than it is to get a 49er stack, like especially if you get CMC. To me, I don't have a single share of CMC. I'll say that now. Not a single share. I only have like just under 40 drafts, but I don't have a single share of CMC. Why? Because I'm preferring to take, Debo, Ayuk, or those 2 with Kittle, and then I can bring back Elijah Mitchell, right? Whereas if you're drafting CMC, you're probably not wanting Elijah Mitchell. Then you're going with someone like Juwan Jennings, Ronnie Bell, some scrub like that, where you just can't get those high value 49ers, whereas you can with the Ravens. So does that change your thought process? For me, I bump Lamar up over, yes, even CMC. I have Christian McCaffrey is my number 3 and borderline 4, because I agree with you with Josh Allen. But what's your thoughts between the 2 number 1 seeds? Does that change it for you like it does for me?
I think just with San Fran, it's just a totally different build. So like all their top 5 guys are like the top 12 ADPs. So there's no way, like if you're picking out the turn, you can probably get Ayuk and Purdy, and but yeah, if you get CMC, you're not going to get another 49er. So I do still take CMC, and when I do take him, like I'll come back in the 2-3 turn with like Mahomes and Kelsey or Mahomes and Rice. And then the next round, I'm hoping like Pacheco and so I'm hoping I can start with like CMC with the 4 core Kansas City build, or
Right.
I used to do that CMC with all the Bills, but the Bills are moved up now.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm taking CMC, I'm basically building AFC teams. But he's just like, honestly, like if 49ers do get the Super Bowl, he's the one piece you would want. Like, I don't care if I had Purdy or I don't. Like, Debo and Ayuk, either one could go off, and Kittle, sometimes he gets you 5 points. So for me, it's like I'm fine fading the 49ers, but I don't think I'm going to fade McCaffrey. So.
Yeah, well, I'm going to live by the sword, die by the sword on that one. Like, I don't think I change it. Especially with, again, like you just said, you can't get the Bills anymore. It's even getting tougher to get the Chiefs to stack that up, to have that 4-piece AFC build to go with your single McCaffrey. So maybe I missed the boat too. And that's, probably true. And it is what it is. I'm not going to be honest, I'm just going to live by it and die by it at this point. Especially because you can't get those anymore. But I was just kind of curious how you were looking at that. And we'll talk more about the 49ers. But Ravens, definitely easy to get, easy to stack, easy to build out. Buffalo, we kind of talked about this a little bit already. One strategy so the way I look at my strategies and with my rankings, and we'll talk about it again maybe in a little bit here, I only go 1 through 6. And that's really all I care about. I build a strategy for each pick, and it might differ a little bit here and there. You don't want to be exact. I wouldn't be shocked if I had a dupe lineup, to be honest with you. Hopefully they're in different tournaments, but I kind of pick a strategy. So where I've gone now with the 6-7 turn is, unless there's, Ayuk and Debo pretty much specifically, maybe I'll mix in a, Ayuk or Debo with a Purdy, but I've started mixing in a little bit of Stephon Diggs and James Cook here.
Yeah.
And then I bring in Rams, Eagles, something like that. Maybe you can get some Cowboys, maybe, but pretty unlikely. Either way, that's something that I've started doing at the 6-7 turn, is building out the Bills side, the AFC side. And then I worry about my NFC a little bit later. What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. Because honestly, like NFC, I know everyone's like 49ers are the favorite,
but it's pretty wide open, right? Like,
I just feel like the road's tougher than people think. I don't know. I think there's some good teams in NFC. Like, I think any of those teams could make it. I just think Dallas is my preferred build over there. Like CD and Dak. Like I'm always trying to pair those two together. So for me, like 49ers, they're gonna, like, say the Rams beat Detroit. Like 49ers gonna have to play the Rams. That's a tough game. Or it could be the Eagles. It's like their division round is the Eagles, and I get like Eagles are failing or whatever, but that's still a tough game. And then they're going to get dinged up, and then you're going to have to play Dallas or Detroit, So their path's pretty tough, in my opinion. But obviously they are the best team. But playoffs, just like game to game, NFL is just like a brutal game. So you just don't know. Like everyone thought 49ers last year, and they collapsed in the NFC, right? So.
Yeah,
like one injury
on that one. Yeah. But
yeah.
No, I agree there. I think it's easier to predict the AFC. For me, it's pretty much Bills, Ravens. And that's pretty much it, in my opinion. Yes, it could go crazy, but the way I'm drafting and what I'm predicting, that's what I'm going with. And that's kind of why I like Lamar over the 49ers, because I like the uncertainty in the NFC side, right? So then I can build out my Ravens no problem, and then have probably two different NFC teams with obviously a quarterback to play the first round, where I can set up a 5-team Super Bowl twice, right?
Yeah,
So
I like that.
that's my 2 cents on that one. But yeah, with the Bills, and Kincaid, I think. Do you know how often they update ADPs on Underdog? Is it every 24 hours?
Yeah, I'm assuming every day, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really look at ADP, to be honest.
No, but are you picking Kincaid over Gabe Davis? And were you before Gabe Davis got hurt?
I wasn't before. Like Gabe
Hmm.
Davis was like on fire, right? Like he was almost like I almost wanted to pick him over Diggs, but like things happen so fast, and now it's like if Davis is out, Diggs is going to get so much target share. Kincaid, yeah, like he's probably like 5th round pick now, 6th round pick. Even Shakir, like I'm taking him 7th round, 8th round now.
Well, yeah, if Gabe Davis doesn't play, then Khalil Shakir could be that advanced piece that you need, right?
Yeah, and I'm assuming he's not going to play this week. So
Me
I'm
too.
assuming he's out 1 week. So Shakir is like one of the best picks right now to add on. Like if you need a piece in the AFC or if you go with the Bills stack, like you definitely want to get him in. Take him a round or two ahead of his ADP right now.
Yeah. I'm actually like I think I've taken drafts where I've gone Kincaid and Shakir, and Gabe Davis hasn't been drafted. Like I've seen that just because it's not. He should be drafted by someone, depending on how other teams have built. But either way, yeah, the Bills to me, and again, we talked about a second ago, you have Josh Allen as, ranked number 1, which I can't disagree with whatsoever. It's just interesting how far he's shot up as ADP wise, rankings wise, things like that. Because now, people like you have him literally ranked number 1 when you could get him, a couple weeks ago before I was drafting, you could get him in the 40s.
Yeah, so that's like the mentality where people get stuck on, because I was in that. So how I draft these best ball playoffs, I kind of go by odds week to week, and then I update my rankings, and I draft and draft and draft. So I didn't draft in the gauntlet, really. I kind of took that tournament off because Underdog's just releasing all these other tournaments, or kind of like 5-day window ones. I don't have to, it doesn't matter. Like I'm hearing all these stories. Oh yeah, I could get Josh Allen with all the 49ers builds. It's like, yeah, that's great. That was the gauntlet, and that tournament I'm not entering. So it's a fresh new tournament. I take Josh Allen 101 when ADP hasn't adjusted because he's still in like ADP 7. So the last actually 3 days when the seedings got settled, I probably drafted 300, 400 teams, and my whole mindset was all Bills heavy. So I have probably out of those 400 teams, probably 60-70% are all centered around the Bills. So like big build outs. So now I have the leverage. Now I have the Bills, and like those earlier builds where I didn't get those values on Josh Allen, that's fine because I had like Ravens and 49ers builds and all those other builds. So it all kind of evens out. Like I think people make a mistake when they say, "Oh, I can't take Josh Allen because people could have got him earlier in this," but it's like that was a whole different contest, and like we know a lot more now, and there's a lot more dead teams then too. So like none of that stuff matters. Like all the news you get in these things right away, like that's what you got to go off of. You can't go off of like old news, and so you just got to move forward. And like I've been guilty of that in the past, and I'm not going to do that anymore.
No, I agree with that for sure. I didn't draft any until last, I think, I don't know, Wednesday, something like that. But I do wish I drafted more because, and this won't happen every single year, but I was very right. I needed the Cowboys to win the division. They did. I needed the Rams to be the 6th seed because I think they beat the Detroit Lions. That happened. I needed, what else did I need? A couple other things. Like I needed a few things to happen in order for it to go the way that I thought it would. And it did. So
Right.
I kind of wish I drafted more last week, but it is what it is. I don't disagree. And that's a kind of loser mentality. You can't say like, oh, I shouldn't draft Josh Allen now because other teams would have him. Who gives a shit? Like that changes
Yeah.
nothing. Even if it is in the same tournament, I didn't draft any gauntlets until, like I said, last week. And I'm probably done now because there are going to be a lot of super teams. And
I think the gauntlet might have filled too, so it might be
I
already
think it's
full.
still open right now, barely, but it's
All right.
basically full.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
basically full. And I keep getting the 6 seed in it. So
yeah.
I literally, I drafted like 5 times, and I think I'm the 5 once, the 6 every other time, and the 2 once or something like that.
Yeah.
So I just said,
Well, and another thing with me drafting the Bills now, like I know like sure thing they're in, what seed they are, and like what matchups they have along the way. But also I can build like 7-man Bills teams where nobody was building 7-man. No one was adding Dawson Knox at the end or Shakir, like probably not, right?
especially Shakir. Yeah.
Right. So a
Yeah.
lot of their builds, yeah, maybe they're San Fran and Buffalo, but mine are like Buffalo and the Rams or whatever, and no one else has that build in the early ones either. So like
Yeah.
it all evens out in my opinion.
I agree. And even you could have Buffalo San Fran with the advancement pieces that you need where they don't, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah, you see a ton of like full 5-5 Buffalo and San Francisco, but you need Buffalo to just absolutely smash, which they could, but you need them to absolutely smash and kind of be perfect to advance, 2 of 6. Right.
Right.
So good luck with that. If it does happen, then yeah, you're in a good spot to win the entire tournament. But if it doesn't and you don't even advance, then what are we talking about? So
Well, and
yeah,
a lot of those might have like Gabe Davis as their one of their 5th bills. They got like
exactly.
a 4 bills,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many things, and it just changes quickly. Sorry.
Yeah. No, let's this
Yeah.
is exactly what I wanted out of this episode. So this
Yeah.
is
Okay.
good stuff. Chiefs, we'll go through quickly again, like you used to last week. By used to, I'm saying literally like a week ago, because that's when I started drafting. But you used to be able to get them at the 2-3 turn when you're drafting Christian McCaffrey. Now you can't necessarily do that. You could even draft McCaffrey, call it Pacheco, Rice, or Kelsey, and then get Mahomes again on the backside. So that was nice. Those days are gone, but obviously it starts with the wild card round. You see them beating the Dolphins. Obviously, like we talked about a few minutes ago, it doesn't change you from. It doesn't mean you're not taking Dolphins, but who do you actually have winning this game?
So this one's like honestly, I wanted the Dolphins to be the 2nd seed. Like that was kind of how I was drafting on my teams like back in the day. But
That was the other thing that I needed was the Bills to be
yeah,
the 2 seed. But anyways,
yeah. No. So like I don't know this game, but all I know is like if I go on with an NFC team, um, the Dolphins are like free right now, so you
yeah,
can get all the Dolphins, and I like it. But also you can go with the Chiefs, and I like that too. So I'm back and forth. What I want to do is just kind of mix and match my exposure on both teams, and obviously that's going to create dead entries. But
yeah.
it's hard to predict this stuff, and you have to see kind of how the drafts fall. So I think Mahomes he's a good QB, and I'm not going to doubt him in the playoffs. So like I have a hard time betting against him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the Dolphins, like they're so fun to stack all their players. Like they have a really fun 5 core worth of players, and they're free right now. Same as the Eagles. Like
Yeah.
I can't not take them at the end of drafts anymore.
So I'll say it for the 2nd or 3rd time already. It doesn't matter, right? Roster construction. That's all you're building around is your roster construction, making sure you have a Super Bowl. To me, honestly, I'll be honest again. Like I don't have a single share of Tyreek Hill either. I don't have a single Tyreek Hill share. Just because I don't think there's pretty much any way they win this game. I really, really don't. It's going to be quite cold in Kansas City. If you look at Andy Reid's record after a bye week, it's phenomenal. Last week was more or less a bye week for the Chiefs. They're fully healthy. Everybody's playing. The defense is in really good shape. Waddle is probably not playing, I don't think. Mostert, maybe.
They both were limited today, so they both practiced.
They didn't practice. It was an
Yeah.
estimated, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't actually practice. The Chiefs did practice today, actually practiced, and anyone that matters is a
Mhm.
full participant. No one's even limited, unless you like Kadarius Toney, which I do not. So everybody's playing for the Chiefs. It's at home in Arrowhead in the playoffs. Again, Andy Reid after a bye is phenomenal. They showed nothing last week. I just really don't see too many outs for the Dolphins to win this game. Yes, it's certainly possible. Two big time plays from one from Achan, one from Tyreek Hill, and they're in this game because the Chiefs' offense is not in a great spot right now. But that's kind of just the way I'm looking at it. I just really don't give. And again, I've drafted Miami Dolphins teams too because roster construction is all that matters. So you got to do what you got to do. But if we're looking at this game just in a vacuum and who I think is going to win, I really do not think that the Dolphins can pull this one out.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of more in the kind of like toss up, to be honest. Like
That's fair.
I can't decide. I just think the Chiefs are having a hard time scoring points, and we know the Dolphins can score a lot of points. So
Yeah.
I mean, are the Chiefs going to win a game where it's like on 5 field goals again? Like that might be their success right there. So I don't know.
Plus, it's a Tyreek Hill revenge game, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. The Houston Texans, the surprise team that no one really particularly thought would get in until the final week of the season, and I'm happy they're in. They're a more exciting team right now, especially with all the injuries in Jacksonville. Just much more healthy, very exciting in that last game that we saw. What's your take on the Houston Texans? I don't have a single Texans share, and I probably won't. I think the Browns win this game. We'll talk about that in a second. But have you drafted any Texans? Probably, with the volume you do since they've clinched, but before, were you drafting any Texans?
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about getting locked out on teams, right? So you go San Fran or Dallas or whatever in the NFC, but you miss out on Dak or you miss out on Purdy. So you don't have the QBs there. So I actually like both Houston and Cleveland to kind of fill that void. Like if I can get a stack in the NFC of like 3 solid players, like really good core players, but not the QB, then I sometimes, or even if I go get Purdy, like I think about Houston and Cleveland, stack them 3 or 4 deep at the end of drafts. One of those teams is going to win, and we in the division round too. Like if they win wild card weekend, they're going to be rolling, and I think they're going to create some chaos in the next round as well. So and the fun thing about Texans, no one was picking them at all because they seem like kind of like a long shot kind of to make it in. Everyone was on the Jaguars and that went bad, but no one was really. And the Colts are in the mix too, right? So like, yeah, the ownership in the gauntlet of Texans is probably, a lot of those players, maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot. So I
and
think
a lot of dead Jags teams.
Yeah.
Gauntlet.
Yeah. So I definitely think, and here's the fun thing about them, the same as Green Bay. And I know you probably don't want these kind of teams, but at the same time, they kind of bring some leverage. Like I know we're not really super worried about advance rates and whatnot, but just even ADPs of these players haven't adjusted. Same as the Bills. Like that's why the Bills ADPs are way off, because no one projected them to be the 2nd seed, right? Like it was kind of, okay, they might make the playoffs for the last like 4 weeks. Everyone's thought that, but it's going to be more like a 6, 7 seed or something like that. So when they hit the 2nd seed, like their ADPs are mispriced. Same with the Texans, same with the Packers and the Steelers. Like,
yeah, but you kind of alluded to there too, like you won't have leverage in advancing rounds. In the wild card round, you won't have leverage because it doesn't really matter, but you will have a ton of leverage if they can get past, likely the Ravens, right? So for me, that I've drafted a ton of Browns, like you just talked about with the San Francisco builds. That's why my San Francisco strategy, typically not CMC, but I'll go if I can go Debo and Ayuk. I love doing that. and then I bring it back with the Browns, because to me, and that's what I was doing before the AFC South clinch, before the Texans clinch, because for me, I didn't really care who the Browns were playing. I think the Browns are winning that game. I think they beat the Jags. I think they beat the Colts. I think they beat the Texans. That's kind of how I've been building it out. So I have quite a bit of exposure to the Browns, because division rival Ravens are coming off a bye. If the Browns can be rolling, they know them very, very well. So that's kind of where, the Browns would be my sleeper AFC team.
That's fair. Yeah, I like that. I was all in on Ford and Cooper and Njoku. Like those guys, like, yeah, they were definitely great pieces. Because we've known for like 4 weeks that they were locked into a playoff berth too. So,
and probably locked in against, they're the superior team.
Right, they were going to be the 5 seeds.
Yeah. Yep. To whoever wins the AFC South, they're the superior team. At least I thought. And that's what I was drafting like, because I think I'm getting a minimum of 2 games out of Browns players, and possibly they're going to the AFC Championship game if they can upset the Ravens, which isn't crazy. They beat them earlier this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't think that was with Joe Flacco, actually. So, that's kind of the way I've been looking at the Browns. Their Super Bowl percentage, their odds to make the Super Bowl are quite a bit better than the Texans. And yeah,
I think you could say the same about the Texans too, though. Like, I guess the Browns have a better defense, but at the same time, I think Nico Collins is the same as Cooper. Like, I think Singletary is the same as Ford. Like, Stroud's probably an upgrade from Flacco or similar, So, but you're going to get those guys even rounds 8, 9, cheaper. 10, opposed to the Browns. You might have to get like 5th, 6th, 7th, or wherever, So, yeah, I like both teams, so I don't have a lean either way. Probably the Browns a slight lean, same as like probably the Chiefs a slight lean too in that game, but not by much.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about the Dolphins here, so we won't beat that dead horse. You got anything to say about the Steelers?
They're just like one-offs. Like if you're building out Baltimore or San Fran, and you need, like, if you go with like 5 of those players on those teams, I think it's okay to take a Pickens or a Najee or Deontay Johnson. Like those are great one-offs.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not taking a single piece. My one-offs would be on the other side. The again, we talked about it earlier. The more volatile, I think we both agree that the NFC is just a little more volatile. That's right, what I'm taking. I
was saying, like, if you built out like a San Fran, like 5 player stack, take one of the Steelers to kind of push you through round 1.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. 49ers, again, we talked about most of these teams already, so we won't dig too much into it, and we got to kind of get going here. I don't want to take up your whole night. So we talked about the 49ers a fair amount, talked about the Cowboys. We both love the Cowboys. And then we don't need anything there. Detroit Lions, how are you feeling about the Detroit Lions? I don't have much. My take right now is I think they're losing that game. I'm just super invested in the Rams beating the Lions. I think that was a horrible coaching error by Dan Campbell to play Laporta, everybody. And then look what happens. Laporta gets hurt. That's going to hurt that team a fair amount. They can still run the ball a ton, don't get me wrong. And Amon-Ra is Amon-Ra. We'll see about Jameson Williams. But the only thing that I've kind of done with the the Lions is, like you just said, I brought it back with like Buffalo, a 4 or 5 stack on the Buffalo side. And then I throw in one Lion if it's usually Gibbs or Montgomery typically, or I've done where I'm going Rams. And this is another thing we can talk about. I brought in Amon-Ra early to pair him with my Rams just for that game going off and advancing.
I actually like the Lions. A
lot of people do. So
I have more Lions than Rams. Actually, I feel like more people are on the Rams. Like, I feel like the Rams ADPs are like insane. I don't understand their ADPs, but anyways, like I get they're kind of like the darling. We all want them to make a run. I get it, because they're fun. They're a fun team, fun story, and kind of like the whole Stafford thing. But there's also like the Goff thing. Like, he played in LA and they kind of threw him away as like a garbage piece.
Yeah.
So, And they have some talented players. I get like Laporta injury was rough. I'm hoping Jameson will play. I think Josh Reynolds is like underrated. Like he's kind of a fun leverage piece in these drafts.
Mhm.
If
Are
I get
are you still drafting Laporta right now?
no,
No. Yeah.
not in 10-person drafts. Like that's too hard to do. Like I
Yeah.
guess if I was all in on the Lions to go to the Super Bowl and you had him on right at the end, like you don't know who else to take. Maybe
Mhm.
put him in there, but it seems like his injuries. I know they said he might play, but I don't think so.
No, I think he misses probably 2 weeks, but we'll
Yeah,
see. But no, that you're
they're
and
the
that's
boring.
another.
They're a
What's that?
boring team. They're a boring team right now to draft. Like no one wants to take them.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of value. And they're home favorite. And if they win, they probably play the Cowboys.
Yep.
And that would be a fun story, right? Like the mistakes that were made in that game by the coach, but like that's a revenge spot there. So
Yeah, and I still maintain that it's a good matchup for Detroit. The Cowboys are.
yeah,
Honestly, that's probably the worst matchup for the Cowboys in the second round.
yeah,
I think they walk through the Eagles. There's no problem with the Bucks. But I think if it's the Lions, that's the toughest matchup for the Cowboys in the second round. But I personally, again, don't have them making out of that game. At least I hope not, because it would hurt my exposure and my shares. But it kind of is what it is, and I probably should adjust a little bit. But
they're just a team that if you get boxed out, like the line, like Goff is like ADP 40 something. There you
mhm.
get boxed out at QB, it's so easy to come back and build out a Detroit side, and they're a favorite in round one, and then they might get the Cowboys in round two, and like they're past pretty decent
Yeah,
to conference finals. So
yeah, I think it's a good matchup for them with Gibbs and Montgomery. I think that's a good matchup to just run the shit out of the ball against the Cowboys. There, if you're going to attack the Cowboys, you can definitely get them on the ground, and obviously that's what the Lions do well. So I think it's a bad matchup for the Cowboys. Again, just worse than the Bucks and the Eagles. I think for the Cowboys.
yeah.
But that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. What about Buccaneers? Their ADPs, especially Mike Evans as a one-off, has really risen in the last week or so. Do you give them a shot outside of this Eagles game? Let's just maybe talk about this game against the Eagles, which you're going to be a little bit invested in. But what are your thoughts on the game here between the Bucs and Eagles?
I'm kind of trying to have no expectations, and I'm just gonna be a fan, and
Yeah,
the problem I have with Tampa, like I don't care who they're playing, but if you only can beat 9-0 against the Panthers in a must-win crucial game,
mhm.
that's kind of sad. But I guess like the Panthers have a decent defense, whatever. But I, and the Eagles' defense is awful. I get it. And there's probably points to be scored there. It's a home game. I think the point spread's only 3 points for the Eagles. Like yeah, I guess like Vegas is saying this is a winnable game, but
Well, I think it is, but there's points to be had. Like the Bucks defense is nothing to write home about either. Like, especially, in the passing game, it's just more a matter of if Devontae Smith plays or not, which I don't know if he does, or AJ Brown. Right. So, and if they do play, how healthy are they going to be? So I think that's kind of how Vegas is hedging their bet, which I understand, but Baker's hurt as well. And I agree with what you just said there. Like, even against, even with a banged up Baker, you still got to get in the end zone one time against the Carolina Panthers, who've won 2 games all season.
I mean, this is, yeah. I mean, then the Eagles lost to the Cardinals and Giants, so I could say the same about them too. So
fair enough. Fair enough. It's an interesting game and one that I'm taking as, onesies, that's for sure. Even especially Eagles, because they're just falling off the face of the earth. So I'm taking them as NFC onesies for sure. And potentially some twosies, but we'll get into that a little bit. We talked about the Rams. Don't need to dig into that too much. Packers, you taking some one-offs. I've been taking a little bit of Aaron Jones, some Jaden Reed. I think I took one time a Jordan Love share. So I am mixing in a little bit of Cowboys. Again, I'll touch on it again. The volatility in the NFC side just makes it a little more attractive to take some of these one-off guys.
Yeah, I actually take them a little bit more on drafters and DraftKings for the 12-mans,
Yeah, for
12
sure.
rounds. So yeah, those are the guys, Reed and Aaron Jones and Love. Like Love's a good piece if you take a Lamar, right? Because
Hmm.
Love's been playing great, so there's some
Yeah,
fantasy points there.
I think he had 36 touchdowns this year, right? So
Yeah, he
he's
was
playing
great. He
fantastic.
was, yeah.
We won't dig into the rankings too much. Yeah, we'll just get into some examples and then do some drafting, unless you want to talk about the rankings. But do check out, go on Twitter, check out James's Twitter, find his rankings there. Very, very, very good resource, that's for sure. If you want to plug that, James, go ahead, plug the rankings. And
Yeah, just for this best ball playoff season, we put together bestballrankings.com, and it has downloadable rankings for Underdog, drafters, weekly winners stuff in Underdog, and DraftKings should be up there maybe hopefully tonight. Again, it's just it's kind of like a map or a base, a starting area. So like you load those up, it's gonna bump a few guys up that I think our ADPs are too low. So when you're on the clock, you can make those decisions a little bit better. But yeah, playoff best ball is all about kind of building out cores and then attacking the other conference on the other side. Not so much about rankings, but still, I think rankings can be valuable and kind of give you a guide.
yeah, I 100% agree with that, especially if you get backdoored, or you get sniped, things like that. Allowing, you only get 30 seconds to pick. So if you have a resource there that allows you to think on your feet a little bit quicker, then yeah, absolutely. That's certainly a good way to go about it. Here's my team so far. I just want to show a couple examples of things that I've done or like to do, and just get some thoughts on that. I think I named these on purpose. So this type of a build. So this is something that you can do. This is something I did a little bit earlier. If you go Lamar, and this was, a Dak Prescott when you could get him at 21, you can't get him there anymore. So this is a little bit earlier. So the point is kind of moot, but just loading it up. So I have different outs. Like, as you can see, I've labeled it Baltimore, Dallas. So Baltimore, Dallas Super Bowl is a great shape. Baltimore, Tampa Bay, that works. Dallas, Baltimore, Dallas, Cleveland, just giving yourself multiple outs. That's kind of the way I look at these things. And yeah, just giving yourself different combinations with advancement pieces, things like that. So that's a route that I went. What else do we got here?
So are you usually a 2 QB drafter?
No,
Okay.
not only if it's Lamar or Purdy.
Okay.
That's the only way. Unless, actually, I think I have an example or two of, actually, let's go find that one. Because I
Obviously,
have,
so there's weird rooms sometimes when a QB will fall to like the 8th round, and you're just like, okay, I'm taking him.
so like here's one. So this is where I got a little bit different, a little bit unique. I did go with 2 quarterbacks, but the way I built it out, I'm very, very happy with. So I can have, obviously, I've got Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Rashee Rice. So I got my 3-piece on the AFC team: Flacco, Jerome Ford, and then David Njoku, 3-piece on a AFC side again. I started the draft with Ayuk and Kittle, and then I also bring in Mike Evans and Rachaad White. So I have different combinations of Super Bowls, and it's likely this team has a good shot to advance with the 2 quarterbacks. All my running backs are playing. Mike Evans, I think, is a good advancement piece. I think Njoku can be, Rice can be. So this is like the only example of a build that I would do where I'm taking 2 QBs that play in the wild card round. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like, I'd rather this was Debo and Ayuk for sure. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with this build, and I think it should be unique.
No, I like those builds, and I think they're actually better for like round 2 and round 3, possibly to get you over the hump. Usually if I'm taking Mahomes, I'll take like 7 Chiefs, and then I would, like, if I already had Ayuk and Kittle, like I would just do like a 7 KC with 3 San Fran. It's like I'm just like all in on those teams, but like
Yeah,
there's
but
a
then
lot
you
less.
have to hit with the
Yeah,
Chiefs, right? Like,
right. Yeah, definitely.
so
Yeah, but
this just kind of gives me more outs in the wild card round is the way I was looking at it, because I have 2 dead roster spots in the wild card round.
yeah,
So
yep,
I just think that this would be unique. And the other thing is the Chiefs and the Browns wouldn't play till the AFC Championship, that likely. So that's fantastic. Um, so yeah, that's the only, this is an example that I definitely wanted to show. This is the only way, and to me, it's the only way that you could build a team like this where you're taking 2 quarterbacks in the wild card round. I don't think there's any other way realistically that you can do it. I mean, you could flip it with Ravens, I guess, right? But
yeah.
either way, I think this is kind of the only way that you can
I mean,
build.
it goes. Yeah, I'm pretty like a 1 QB build on Underdog, just, and that's why I kind of like fade San Fran and Baltimore some, just
Mhm.
because, and it's probably the wrong way to play it, but I'm also playing other sites, and those sites I'll take more 2 QBs maybe. So like I'm playing all over the place. I'm trying to like leverage like how these games and the strategy and my thinking, but like I do see like your strategy here, and I do like it. Like I probably should do more builds like this too. So like I don't, that's why we love this. Like there's so many ways to build it out. Like I can't tell you the exact way to draft. You can't tell. Like we all come together and we kind of learn. So like that's
Yeah.
why I love this stuff. So appreciate you sharing that.
No, for sure. And then this is another strategy that I like to do as well. Is I build out my Buffalo, obviously. So I got Buffalo 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I got my
Mhm.
4 Buffalo Bills. So all I need is 1 bring back on the NFC side. And
Yep.
then I just spatter NFC teams, right? I got Green Bay, I got Tampa Bay, I got the Cowboys, I got the Niners, I got the Rams. So all I need is one of these teams to make the Super Bowl on the NFC side. And that's just another strategy that I do as well, where I build out a 4-piece on the AFC or NFC, whatever. But for me, it's AFC with Josh Allen. And then I just bring it back with a ton of NFC. Everything else is NFC. All I need is one of these players in the Super Bowl. Chances are, if the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl, hopefully this team's getting there.
Right.
So that's another strategy I like to do if especially when we're talking about Buffalo Bills, just because yeah, they're pretty high up on everybody's rankings right now, and only getting higher realistically. So
Yep.
that's something I like to do. Yeah, started unique with Debo and Josh Allen instead of going Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs like everyone else does. So,
No, I think that's a good key to be different. Yeah, when it's lining up, like and I've done that before, like Josh Allen and Diggs, and then James Cook's there, but I take like Pollard instead and things like that. I think it's good to mix that kind of up, so you have different outs.
mhm.
You're already banking on those teams for the Super Bowl, so it's kind of fun to mix it up.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, I build that way too. Or you get something like this where I just got upset with the way that it went. Yeah, I just got upset with it. So, I mean, I tried to screw a guy over, then he screwed me over just because I screwed him over. And then
Um,
it just went awry. So I went obviously CeeDee Lamb, and then I went Stephon Diggs and James Cook, thinking that Dak was going to fall back to me. Then the guy who took Josh Allen got upset with me, took Dak. Then I decided to zig and take the Rams, and
so
then
he took
Buddy
Stafford.
sniped me on Stafford. So I just said, screw this. I'm taking all advanced pieces. I'm gonna get my money back.
Yeah,
That's all I'm worried about in this one. Just advance, get my money back, and I can't field a team, outside of, I mean, I guess Cleveland Rams. I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I just got frustrated in this one and just said, screw that. I'm going to get my money back. It's not happening. It's dead now. Once you get to pick 25 and you have no outs to build a any kind of Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah.
Then
And I
you're
think,
gonna,
I think that's a good example too of, because we all do it. We're like, hey, I want, like, if I take these pieces, I can wait another round for this
yeah,
QB to fall. Right. So, like, I kind of draft a little different. Sometimes I draft like that, but I always draft like the QB like a whole round earlier because
yeah.
I just,
This is where I learned my lesson. This
yeah.
is where this was kind of the turning point where you can't get because you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to get Dak with James Cook, Diggs, Lamb, right? You used to be able to get
Yeah.
with Pollard, like you used to be able to get these rad teams. And then this was the draft that I learned that you can't do that anymore. Stay in your lane, draft your quarterback, and everything builds around your quarterback realistically. So, anyways, couple little examples there that I wanted to just share of different strategies that I like to do. And kind of ways that you can get unique and different. But how many drafts do you want to do? You got time for at least
I can probably do one, so you can pick whatever you want to do.
Let's make it worthwhile. We'll do a little gauntlet. I got 2 left of these, so I'll do one with you, and then I'll have one
I
more.
actually haven't done one of these, so it's fun.
There we go.
So what's the advance? 2-6, 1-6, or how does that?
2-6, 1-5, 1-5, 50-seat final.
Oh yeah, that's actually
20K
really
up
good.
top.
That's a really good structure, to be honest. I probably should have been doing those maybe over mittens, but
That's why, I'm maxing this one just because I really like the advance rates and the how you can build out teams. So I was drafting a ton of these early. I think I hopefully will have a good shot at having a finals team. I need to team name organization is unmatched. I'm not sure. What do you mean by that, Pat? I don't know if you mean Baltimore instead of Ravens or what. So I'm hoping if it's like a Baltimore or Buffalo and Dallas final, I should be in good shape. But right off the bat here, for me, I want to be top 4 in every single draft. I don't care if I'm 1, 2, 3, or 4. I just want to be top 4.
That's interesting. I like being right at this turn.
Well, you can't get Josh Allen there anymore. Most times, I will never let Josh Allen get to the 5 if I'm 4.
Yeah, that's true too. So yeah, I mean McCaffrey, Lamb, Lamar, Allen, like those are kind of your 4. Then if you get the turn, sometimes I'll do like a Debo, Ayuk if I can get that, or an Ayuk, Purdy, because I haven't drafted a lot of that, so I like to kind of switch it up lately. That's kind of how I'm doing it.
But. Yeah, that's why I showed that Ayuk. It was Ayuk Kittle, with the 2 and then the Chiefs and Browns.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I showed that, because that's a way you can get unique at the turn. I don't know if you could get that anymore especially with the Chiefs, but that's why I wanted to show that one as that was, and I don't know if I could do it anymore, but that was a strategy of mine. On the 6-7 turn, plus the Buffalo, like I just said, the James Cook, Stephon Diggs. So Josh Allen for you here.
That's the way I draft. So
no question.
You might not get Diggs because he's moving up, but like
and people could take that Debo and Diggs. I don't hate that. Because
then you got but then you have no QB. So,
but you have an okay shot, especially doing it here at the 5. You have an okay shot at getting Purdy.
I don't think so, because I think the McCaffrey
right here
guy is going to get him.
But if he goes Chiefs,
yeah, that's true.
Right. So, well, that just died. But either way, that's the kind of things that I've been thinking about a little bit with Purdy and being at the turn sort of thing. So there we go. And then you got to just stay in your lane and take Stephon Diggs, right? Unless we want to get unique, but
no, I don't
feel the need, right?
There's been a couple times I'll take Amon-Ra, but not very often.
I think I showed an example too. Yeah. Where I had Josh Allen, Debo, you could do that,
Yeah.
You could get unique that way. So
So here's another thing. Like I haven't been doing it much, but I've done it in the past, and it's like kind of worked out. Say like we're going Buffalo here, but you could also add on Baltimore.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people are doing that, but it's like a play on like AFC Championship. This one you only have to advance 1 through 5 in the next round, and then 1 through 6 right in the next round. So you don't have to do it quite as much in this format, but
Yeah. In the 1
I've been trying
6.
to think more of that.
Well, like 1-6 and 1-10 or
Mhm.
something like that advancing. It's yeah, you gotta do stuff like you just said there. You gotta get a little
Yeah,
bit unique with those bye week, um,
yeah. That
guys that
that
come in the second round.
the 110 for the conference finals, that one, you really just only want to try to figure out the 4 teams in the championship games just so you can
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah. Like to me, we'll talk about it more in a second here. Do you just stay in your lane again, go James Cook as long as he's there, which he should be. This guy should take Dak.
Yeah, that's what this is how I've been drafting in the last like 3 days straight. I
Yeah,
just
me
start
too.
Josh Allen, Diggs, and James Cook, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's just too hard to not go down that road, to be honest. Like when you have it wide open for you,
No.
why get too cute? Just,
Yeah.
you can get
All the touchdowns are coming through these 3 guys. So
yeah, yeah,
why do you want to mess that up and not have a piece? Like you're going to be pissed if you miss out on Cook and Josh Allen gets 2 touchdowns to Cook, or they get down to the 1 yard line and Cook's the one who punches it in. So
yeah.
you just have to get them all.
And another thing with taking Josh Allen here at the 4, like I will never not take Josh Allen at the 4 if he's there.
Mm.
With these 49ers likely going right at the 1-2 turn, right? They're way less likely to take someone like Tony Pollard, which we absolutely love, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what makes it even nicer and easier. And the drafting kind of comes pretty easy realistically, as long as this guy doesn't take, he's doesn't need to advance, but there you go. That makes way more sense. Yeah, Tyreek and Achan, perfect. So now, to me, it's pretty no brainer. Tony Pollard. What do you
I
think?
think. I mean, Pollard's pretty no brainer, but you could also do Kyrene or Gibbs too. Like if you want to go down those avenues, but I think Pollard's pretty good, and then you can still come back and get Cooks if you want, or Ferguson.
Yeah,
But you could do the same with both of those guys too. Like I think the Rams have more pieces that I'd rather have, like Puka and Cup, but
yeah. That's why I'm drafting Rams over Detroit.
it's
I think they win that game. I
yeah.
think the Rams get that win. I could be obviously I'm living by the sword, dying by the sword on that one, because obviously they could lose on the road for sure to the Detroit Lions, but I mean I'm just banking on the Rams win that game.
Yeah.
So with this kind of a build, I can't count the amount of times I've started with this, and I'm sure you can say the same thing, right? Do you stop at running back? Like we can see it, and it might change and whatever, but what are your thoughts right now?
It's hard for me. I like going 3 running backs, especially when I go 1 QB. I get like receivers are more valuable. If you're only going 1 QB and you go 3 running backs, that still gives you 6 receivers. So I go Puka here. I like him or Brandon Cooks or Cup.
So I'm thinking Puka and just dare someone to take Brandon Cooks because they shouldn't.
Yeah, and if you don't get Cooks, you can always come back with Ferguson.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. 100%. So, and then with everything that's gone, I guess if Cooper Cup falls, we could take Cooper Cup, but I guess unless maybe if Cooks goes, but then you could also bring in Devontae, even though I don't think he plays this week. It just opens things up when you're Buffalo stack. And these guys are typically not taking NFC teams outside of the 49ers, realistically.
So here's the other thing when you go like a Bills build and you're saying, oh, Smith might not play.
Might not matter. is what you're
Right, because you're not sacrificing the 1 seed. So like you're fine to like if you only have 8-9 guys playing in round 1, your team's still going to be pretty good to advance, and then Eagles win and Smith's ready to go in round 2. And he puts up a big score, like that's going to be more valuable to you anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. But I just don't take him a ton unless he
Swift a lot.
drops. Yeah. What's that?
I like Swift here a lot, but probably Cooks because then you get the 2. But I also like Swift. I like Ferguson. Kincaid is another guy I'd star.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I definitely like Kincaid here for sure. I'm really hoping that he falls into our lap here. And then I'm personally, the way I look at it is I'm done with Buffalo. You could bring in a late Shakir if you really want, but
so here's the reason I like to go further on those kind of builds. I know you're kind of like don't love that as much, but
no, I don't hate it. I'm not opposed to it, but
well, I get it's going to be harder to advance each round, but this tournament that you're in, the advance rates are pretty leveled. Like they're not going to be that difficult. But if you make the finals with this team, and let's just say you have Dawson Knox and Gabe Davis at the end of this build, and Dawson Knox is like the 5th highest scorer in that Super Bowl because he gets like 2 red zone touchdowns, you're going to have so much leverage, and you're going to
even just 1 touchdown. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I don't like to stop at that, because you're already betting on the Bills to go all the way. I'd go Kincaid. Yeah. But you could stop here at 4, and then you could just keep playing the NFC game if you want to play it safer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind either way to go about it. Plus, we got Puka, which I like a lot more than if you have to take Cooper Kupp. I think Puka has a bigger game just because he's been a little more consistent this year. Hard to say, and obviously that's really tough to make that call, but that's kind of just what I've been banking on. So I like this team to advance. Right now, I think we have an advancing team.
Yeah, and you could also go like you could add on like the 2 49ers that everyone adds on the last 2 rounds if you wanted to. If you wanted Mitchell and Jennings to give you some leverage, and like play the Buffalo San Fran too. Like you can do so many things when you go Bills build, because they're underpriced right now and they haven't adjusted. But I think by Friday night when people are still drafting, they're going to be way up the board.
What are you thinking here? We can go Ferguson. We can go Davis. We can go.
White, but I'm team Ferguson and Shakir. Like those are the 2 I'd go. Like I'd probably go Shakir, to be honest. I like.
You don't think we could wait on him?
You can wait on him if you want, but I'd always take him early. But yeah, Ferguson's good.
Let's throw in Ferguson. Let's throw in Ferguson. I don't typically like to take 3 from a single team, but if this is a Dallas Buffalo Super Bowl, we're probably laughing.
So here's the lesson I learned a couple years ago is last year, obviously you throw it out the window because it was both number 1 seeds, and like no one can field the team, right? Like the contest isn't that fun because it's 2 number 1 seeds in. So that's why I like to play these where Shakir went. So yeah, I've been taking them a lot earlier. He didn't even need them.
It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. So that's weird. It is what it is. So we could go Gabe Davis. We got 2 more picks, right? Yeah. So
I probably want to go Davis.
Could go Godwin, Reed, Rashad White, Mitchell. Go Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, whatever. You can make this pick. I don't know. Gabe Davis is fine. You can just star him, or if we get him, that's fine.
Let's go with Elijah Mitchell because they want San Francisco 49ers. So the beauty with this too is if it's San Francisco Buffalo, we are good. That makes me more than happy. And then I think Gabe Davis is still there. Mind you, they are mostly NFC teams. So I guess they.
Let's see. I would probably go receiver. So let's see what the receivers. Scroll down on receivers. not that far down. I would say Detroit, but you don't want Detroit because you already had the Puka.
I mean, we could go with DeMarcus Robinson. Doesn't get drafted a lot. Godwin, I don't despise.
Actually, DeMarcus Robinson's kind of fun.
Yeah, I've drafted him a few times. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
So, would you take him over Gabe Davis?
Probably not. Actually,
Yeah.
you're betting on the Bills to go to the Super Bowl, and Gabe Davis probably going to be back for that game at least. Probably even before that.
What did we just say about Devontae Smith? Right, the same thing rings true for Gabe Davis here. Right, we don't need him at all. You don't need him, right? So it would have been nice to have Shakir, I guess, over Gabe Davis, but
Shakir might not score for you in round 3 and round 4. So
yeah. I'm more than happy with this build. I think it's unique to what I have, most likely.
So you had five Bills, three Cowboys, and the Puka and the Elijah Mitchell. So you have like 4 different outs for Super Bowl.
Yeah, like that's why I like to get minimum 4 Bills, which is easy to do. And it makes the most sense. You just take minimum 4 Bills. You bring it back with a few NFC teams. We got the Rams, we got Dallas, and we have San Francisco.
But also if only the Bills and some other team, you still have 5 Bills.
Yeah.
So you actually have 4 outlets for 5 players in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, unless if it's Detroit, then that sucks. If it's Philly or Tampa Bay, then that's awful. But I think we've picked, in my opinion, the 3 NFC teams that are most likely to make the Super Bowl. At least in my opinion, these are the 3 most likely teams. So, yeah, I like this build. Makes tons of sense.
Would they play each other in the second round, right? It'd probably be the Rams and
Dallas and San Francisco wouldn't. So it'd be Rams San Fran. Yeah. So we lose either Puka or Elijah Mitchell.
And then you'd be cheering for the Rams.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the probably more the Cowboys. Yeah. Regardless, right? So yeah, but in this matchup, in the Rams 49ers matchup. Yeah.
Right. You'd rather the Rams being lower owned, not knock out the favorites. That's why I love these tournaments. So, like, I always want the favorites to lose.
You just are here for the chaos. So yeah, that's a perfect example of a well-built team, in my opinion. I might have this exact team pretty close anyways. Probably not anymore because Gabe Davis has fallen off the map. But like we just said with Devontae Smith, we don't need him to advance. And if he's the guy in the second round or even the AFC Championship, like, to be honest, we might not need Gabe Davis at all until either the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl in a build like this.
Right. And that's probably why instead of like Ferguson and instead of Elijah Mitchell, like I would even tack on Shakir and I would tack on like a Dawson Knox. And the only reason I say that is because like 2 years ago when I had like I had 7 Rams and 3 Bengals, and then that lineup went all the way to the Super Bowl, and I had like all the leverage in the finals. Like it was, like I couldn't believe. Obviously, you have to get by every round, but these pods are hard anyway. So why not take the gamble?
That's true. Plus, if you're betting on an offensive team like the Bills, like the Rams, like the Bengals, in those examples, chances are you're going to get the touchdown scores, right? So if Matt Stafford or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, if they throw for 3 touchdowns, you probably have all of those touchdowns, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a bad way to build, that's for sure. And I think I maybe don't mind having Shakir, but it is what it is. I like the build. So
yeah, no, it's decent, especially in 2 to 6 advance and then 1 to 5. So I think you're in good shape on that team.
I'll name this one quick so we know to chop it up if we end up taking down the little gauntlet. I don't think I need the date, but whatever.
When Steelers upset the Bills, you can curse me.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But actually, our team we drafted in the I don't remember what it was over the summer. That was the closest one that I had on stream to advancing. We were advancing for a bit, and then we lost it in the last couple of weeks, so we didn't advance. But our stream was the first one too. It was the closest one to advancing. So there's that.
That sums up my best ball season. So
me too, buddy. Me too. It was not I need this much like last year. I had the same thing happen last year where I kind of got my money back in the playoff best ball, and I kind of need it again this year to either make a bit of a profit or break even. We'll kind of see. I'm definitely having a losing season in the regular season best ball as it sits right now, but.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I got to take my kids to Disneyland. So fingers crossed. I need to hit something here.
We'll get you out of here. I appreciate you coming on, James. You give the people a little plug who you are, where they can find your rankings for sure, because that I know you're getting that website going, and it'll be super, super important in about a month when the big board starts, something like that. So go ahead and plug that away.
Yeah, just I'm always on Twitter, so anytime you have questions, feel free to DM. I usually can review teams or whatever questions you have. Like, I love talking about this stuff. It helps my own game. Best ball rankings is just something a buddy I play hockey with kind of helped. He designs websites, and we were talking about it for a while, and he's like, hey, let's just put it up. So he's helped me with that, and that's been awesome. But yeah, the regular season comes around, we'll have updated ranks, and then you can just download them. We'll have them affordable. Like, I'm not gonna, like, usually for years I give this stuff away for free. So yeah, it's just like a little bit of our time. So
worth every penny. That's for damn sure. So.
Yeah, but big board will be ready to roll. So excited for that.
We'll have it set up. I'll have you on again if you want for a big board draft when that gets going, and we'll have that set up a little bit better so we can get the people a link for that. Unless you want to send me that, I can put it in the description for this video as well.
I'm not like crazy about promotes. That's fine.
We'll set it up next time for the big board, because that, in my opinion, honestly, we talked about it a little bit in this episode. The rankings aren't super duper important to me in playoff best ball. It's more about structure. I'll say it again. I'll finish the episode with roster construction is the most important, the only important thing in playoff best ball. But when it comes to the big board, that's where it gets a lot more important to have rankings from, professional people, or people that have good takes. And I consider you one of those people. So I definitely would, we'll set it up when the big board comes around, and we'll get that promoted a little bit better the next time you're on, if you want to come on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we'll get you out of here. I appreciate you coming on. We'll be back. I'm going to do another episode on this Thursday. So obviously it'll be the last episode before the playoffs start. Do a couple more quick drafts, just show some more examples. Probably I won't talk too much more in depth. We got a lot of that today, which is awesome. Like I always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight, James and I were right with this draft, and we win the little gauntlet. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, James, for coming on.